What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam from 49ers Insiders.
And draft day is here. And I know that you can't see it. We're working on fixing the video right now, but I am right outside Historic Kezar Stadium in San Francisco. It's a very cloudy day here in San Francisco, but oh my God, this is amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and give our final thoughts. There's a real hot take rumor that I literally just heard on KMBR maybe as I was walking here. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that. But before we get started today, I'm going to pull up my notes. Oh my God, this is so, okay, there we go. Get your questions into Adam and I. Email Niner Faithful Radio or hit up Adam at 49ers Insiders. And we'll go ahead and answer all your questions on the show. We got a couple that I want to get to today. Participate in our weekly poll. That has been very, very well received. Tons of people are voting on it. Just to make a quick announcement on that, Nick Bosa is the number one choice by far. I was actually kind of surprised we didn't get more Josh Allens. Also, Niner Faithful Radio, or you can win prizes if you participate. Niner Faithful Radio is on YouTube. We're trying to get our channel monetized. So what we're going to do is once we hit 4,200 watch minutes and 1,200 subscribers, we're going to go ahead and not only give somebody a ticket to a game this year, we're also going to invite them to Empire Row. And on top of that, we're going to go ahead and take them to the Niner Museum on a tour. Well, not an actual tour, but we're going to go to the museum, and I've been there enough times. I know all the exhibits. We'll get you hooked up. Go ahead and go to 1000plusvideo.com. Go ahead and buy the San Francisco Legends take on ALS. All money, all proceeds go to ALS research. Let's do it for Dwight. Join our Patreon rewards program, where as little as $1 a month, you can get special perks like 20% off of Niner Faithful Radio shop, monthly giveaways, and an invite to join me and Adam on a segment of Niner Faithful Radio, and much more. Go to patreon.com/Niner Faithful Radio. Also, come read our blogs. The blog will be in my new blog. The 5 notes from the 2019 schedule will be available in the show notes once this becomes a podcast. And check out our blogs for Nothing But Niners as well. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Everything's at Niner Faithful Radio. Twitter is at Niner Faithful R. Adam's at 49ers Insiders. Yeah, that's it. So before we go ahead and get into this hot take, it's with quite suddenly and quite unfortunately, right before the draft, Niner area scout Reggie Cobb has passed away on 4/20. What a crappy day to die. But in a statement from John Lynch, he has said, "We are devastated by the sudden loss of a tremendous teammate and loyal friend. Reggie Cobb was an enthusiastic and passionate person who had a special ability to brighten up a room with his personality and an infectious smile. For 10 years, the 49ers were better because of Reggie and these unique qualities that which he possessed. He was a top-notch scout, an exemplary man whose years of service to the organization and the National Football League will not be forgotten. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends in this time of mourning." Yeah, he was with the Niners for 10 years. So that was kind of sudden and sad. Yeah. But we kind of like it. So why don't we go ahead and, we'll jump right into that, Adam. So according to KMBR, and have you been able to find other sources on it?
I'm just refreshing my Twitter page. That's what I'm doing on my phone right now. I'm just making sure that you know, like literally up to the minute. And I'm sure something is going to be brought up soon. But as you brought up, so as of like literally within 15 to 30 minutes, let's say, because as of like 40 minutes ago, like the odds were still Kyler Murray at -400 as far as odds go, meaning he's still the favorite. But I guess a new little leak is Quentin Williams kind of like overtook that. I haven't actually checked the up to the minute actual odds to see what Vegas knows, because we all know they have some legitimate sources. Obviously, they can be losing their money or whatnot, but I just think it's only 12:45. So at this point, we all know the Cardinals have been blowing smoke here and blowing smoke there. So they literally haven't been able to be pinpointed, even though everybody and their mom thinks they're going to take Kyler Murray. So what I'm getting at is I totally see the next possibly all the way up to the next 3 to 4 hours. I see them planting certain seeds and just exhausting all options, as they like to say. And I don't know. I still think they're going to go Kyler Murray. I don't know. The Quinn Williams deal, the only thing that I offered out there was, let's just say the Cardinals know that the 49ers are locked in essentially Nick Bosa, number 2 overall. If the Jets are all in Quinn Williams, anticipating this whole time he was going to be the guy that was going to drop to number 3, the only thing I can possibly see is possibly baiting the Jets into jumping up to number 1 overall, knowing that the 49ers are not going to be able to trade down and get a haul for Murray because they probably don't want to miss the opportunity on Bosa, so they're going to stay put. And then that way the Cardinals can have their cake and eat it too and still take Kyler Murray at number 3. That's my only possible thing I can think of on why this thing is going back and forth on Kyler Murray and Quinn Williams all of a sudden.
I hadn't thought about that spin. So basically what the rumor is it was reported by Larry Krueger, is who I heard it from. He's not the source of the story, but he has said that the Arizona had made their choice. They know who they're going to take. I'm honestly, I believe they've been known. I think they've known for a while, personally. I think they've known for a very long time. They just, you're not going to come out and say it. But, so, wow, this sucks. So apparently the stadium's locked. So we will not be going in the stadium and taking pictures and all that cool stuff that I wanted to do.
Damn.
That really sucks. I'm gonna continue walking around though, y'all. But anyway, so
must be done.
Basically, long story short, let's get straight to it. That Quentin Williams was contacted by Arizona, letting him know that he was still a possibility. The basis for Larry Krueger, whose opinion I really trust. I mean, let's be real. Anybody who listens to the show with regularity knows I spit out stuff that Larry Krueger says all the time. I've been listening to him since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I've been listening to Larry Krueger for years. So I really trust his opinion. He does the official Niner postgame show. So anyway, he said that he believes Arizona would already have traded Josh Rosen. I think everybody's assuming that they just won't keep both quarterbacks and then kind of wait to see maybe if somebody gets hurt or gets desperate, for a quarterback. I personally think that's kind of a gamble. I don't see them taking both quarterbacks. I mean, how awkward is that going to be? No. And especially in the first year when you're trying to establish your culture, you're trying to establish, you're trying to establish your culture. You're trying to establish everything. You don't even know who your quarterback is. Nah. So I'm with you, Adam. I personally, this is why I think if Arizona takes Murray, my gut wants to say Quentin Williams. Just because of how John Lynch gushed over him. If it will be in the
that's your final choice. You're going Quentin Williams.
I think we're gonna go. I think John Lynch wants to go Quentin Williams. It would not surprise me, but if I had to put money down, I would agree with Bosa, just because I feel that Quentin Williams is a gamble. And real quick, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next rumor that kind of goes into this in a second. But I just feel that unless the rumor we're going to get into right now is true and happens, I think we're going to take Bosa just because he's the safe pick and fulfills the need. I don't want to put all my money on D Ford. I'm not saying that D Ford isn't a great signing. I'm not saying that I'm jumping up and down that we got D Ford. I am extremely happy we got D Ford. But you can never have too many. I was just talking to a guy who's diehard Niner fan, been Niner fan longer than I've been alive, and he was telling me that I said hell with need, and where are we going to put him? I said those things kind of figure themselves out sometimes. Yeah. And why I say that is, of course, not wishing injury on anybody, but let's be real. Eric Armstead has had a hard time staying healthy. And so, Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas, let's go ahead and say that the rumor is Solomon Thomas is being shocked.
Yeah, it's I haven't been able to have an opportunity to be able to talk about that quite yet. Yeah. I think it's a little strange. Once again, I mean, somebody well respected like David Lombardi, who works for the Athletic now, kind of threw out a thing of like, hey, they're just kind of getting a feeler. Once again, golly, I feel like I've low-key become a huge conspiracy theory guy. But hey, the NFL draft season is definitely going to do that. You know what I mean? Once again, it's still over 4 hours left to go in the NFL draft. I just think at this point, as much as I believe in Solomon Thomas, and I think he will have, and by a quote-unquote breakout campaign for next season, I mean, like, I think he's going to have a solid season. Everyone keeps talking about playing inside. I think he ended up playing a little more inside down the stretch.
Yeah, he did.
Now, once again, what he was used in base at defensive end because essentially we didn't have that many more options, and he does once again have the athleticism to be able to play that base role. Once again, the rundowns. NFL, you're playing 70% nickel, not that huge of a deal. But once again, Arik Armstead ended up having a breakout season last year, so it was essentially tough for Thomas to kind of get some snaps inside because Arik Armstead finally ended up turning the corner and actually had a solid season. I think the thing about Thomas. Sorry there to cut you off. I was going to get around to, it doesn't really make sense to me of why they would throw this out there right now because Solomon Thomas, in my own personal opinion, and rightfully so, because he hasn't shown that much his first 2 years, he doesn't have no first-round value, and today it's only going to be the first round. So that's why it doesn't make sense. I feel like that's something you would throw out there later. So the only thing I can possibly think of, once again, is like we threw that report out there because it's like we want the NFL and teams – within the top 5 to know like, hey, we're kind of targeting Quentin Williams, which is why we're throwing out there that we might deal Solomon Thomas because then we're going to have a full house on the interior. Does that make sense? That's my spin on it.
I mean, I think that basically I didn't want to steal your thunder on being able to get that because I believe it was you that put it out in the group chat. But so I didn't want to steal your thunder on that. I got mine and you got yours. So basically, if I don't want to say the report isn't true, I believe that they have put out feelers. And, I'm not going to say that he's definitely off the roster and they want to get rid of him and everything like that. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to put out feelers for Solomon. AA, would it be a surprise?
No.
I mean, it would be a surprise because John Lynch has been very positive in his reviews of Eric Armstead. But just I think we're kind of putting the feelers out there to do what you said, is that, hey, we trade some – kind of like last year everybody was like, oh, why would we take Mike McGlinchey? We have Trent Brown. And then all of a sudden the night before day 2 of the draft, we trade Trent Brown and everybody's like, oh, so the Mike McGlinchey pick makes sense.
Right.
So, be prepared that if we take Quentin Williams, oh, it's going to create a log jam, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden it's announced at 3 o'clock in the morning we trade Solomon Thomas. Okay, now it all makes sense.
Let's be real. There's already a log jam.
There already is. Yeah. Everybody can't get on the field. And to me, when you talk about, what makes me think Quentin Williams is either – or makes me think, just bring up Quentin Williams, is that John Lynch, he talked about versatility. And to me, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have said almost every opportunity they have, we want to be versatile, we want versatility, Matter of fact, that's I believe, usually one of the first things that John Lynch brings up about Jimmy Ward and why that they're so high on him is his versatility. He can play, corner. He can play, safety, and probably play strong safety in a pinch. Not ideally a strong safety, but in a pinch, Marcel Harris goes down, Jaquiski Tartt goes down. Throw Jimmy Ward there. You can bring Colbert up to free.
He can play all 4 defensive back spots. Nobody's saying he's great at any of them per se.
Well, the thing I've always heard, the knock on Jimmy Ward is jack of all trades, master at none. That's kind of always been the knock on Jimmy Ward.
Yeah.
But so, real quick, to get into one of our last little notes that we have is we have done the formality that I think that I already know how Adam's going to feel about it. We signed Forrest Buckner to we exercise his 5th-year option. Doesn't come as a surprise. I think it's a formality. I think that I think the rumor I've heard, I believe it was Matt Mayoko that said this on KMBR, is the Forrest Buckner doesn't want a contract this year. The Forrest Buckner doesn't want a contract this year because why would you? You have your 5th-year option. You know, what the potential of a lockout coming, you know, what is it, next season? Yeah, the potential of a lockout next season, and the salary cap's only going to go higher and higher and higher. So the point is, and you know, if you were saying that if you were the Forrest Buckner, are you willing to put that you'll have a better year than last year and be able to make yourself some more money if you wait another year or two to sign your contract?
If not,
I'm believing that, even if regardless of whether we take Bosa, Quentin Williams, you know, whoever, Garrity, you know, Montez Sweat, no matter who we take on the defensive line this draft, DeForest Buckner is going to be one of the main beneficiaries of that. He already is with the signing of D Ford. And so I'm not saying – I personally think he'll get more than 12 sacks this year. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't. You know, I think my thing on DeForest Buckner this year is that if you see him, let's just throw out a number, 15 sacks. You know, I think that will be the increase. I don't think he'll be more dominant this year. I think it'll be more people, you know, being fed to him. Like more people getting essentially D Ford and, you know, let's just say D Ford and Bosa coming off the edges, pushing everything up towards him. If he goes down in sacks, I don't think DeForest Buckner is a less dominant player. I just think that's you know, D Ford, let's just say Bosa, Eric Arm, other players eating. I think personally that's how I feel. But the Forrest Buckner 5th-year option, that's a formality.
That's a steal.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's basically what they're saying is we don't want you to go anywhere. So, and we don't want a Robbie Gould situation, which we'll go ahead and get into next. But yeah, that's basically how I look at it. You were gonna say, bro?
Oh, my bad. I was just gonna say, obviously, that it's just common law, literally, to pick up a 5th-year option. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's literally for defensive tackles drafted in the top 10. It was like 11 million and change. So that's a gimme. But no, you totally hit the nail on the head as far as Buck goes. Have another dominating season, and literally, like you brought up, salary cap and everything, contracts, and we all know, like one player at the same position, you know, sets the tone for the contract, like Aaron Donald did last year. Mm-hmm. Not saying he's going to get Aaron Donald money, even though technically speaking, hey, shit, in a year or two, he could easily get freaking
Aaron Donald money.
That's just how shit goes. But here's another thing: you brought up stats. How much we played from behind so damn much last year. And as we know, obviously teams ran a little more, and we still ended up doing pretty damn good in the run game, actually. Yeah. But there's going to be a lot more opportunities to be able to rush the passers. So you brought up 12 sacks. I mean, honestly speaking, that made me think about him, and D Ford had 14 sacks last year. So I think a easily doable goal would be 25 sacks and over combined for both those guys. I think would be. I would say it's a relatively success, but shit, I mean, I'm hoping for 30 plus, and I think that can easily happen too. Not easily, but it's doable.
I mean, what you said 24 or 25? That's 12 and a half sacks. I think I'll put a half a sack more on DeForest Buckner's stat line if you tell me, you know, just off the sheer fact we're going to have better edge presence, he's going to at least get a half a sack more this year. I'm not so – I don't want to say high after I just said I'm very excited. I think it's going to have the first effect I said. I think that D Ford won't eat as much, but that will cause Defo to eat more. But if you put me at the over under for D Ford at 7.5 sacks, I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over. I say about 9 to 10. At 7.5. Okay, put the over under at 9.
Are you high? We're gonna go from 14 sacks down to 9. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was about to bring up. I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, you demand all that attention, and then number 2 edge on the opposite side eats. But I mean, shit. Okay, 9. I mean, definitely going over. I mean, 1,000%.
Over at 9.5. You're going over
easily. I mean, I would next to bet my life at least 10.
10. Okay. Yeah, I would say if we put it at, I might go over. I might go over just because I'm at 10. And so if you put me at 10, I'm pushing. If you put me at 10.5, I'm going under.
Yeah,
I'll go under 10.5, but I'll push at 10.
I'm not gonna front on you. I mean, we all know the Chiefs obviously had a dominating offense, obviously last season, and you can go a little beyond that. And so the Chiefs play with a lot of leads. So they're D Ford and Justin Houston were a lot of essentially rushed with their ears pinned back, and they had a lot more opportunities to rush the passer. So and obviously Houston commanded a fair amount of attention. I don't know who would actually label the quote unquote number 1 edge there. But I can definitely, I definitely can see like where you're kind of coming from as far as, that number that you came up with as far as 9.5 or 10.5 sacks. But, once again, though, what Chris Houston, he's also dominating defensive tackle. I mean, arguably, you can argue like him and DeForest Buckner are right there, like nose to nose, essentially, as being as dominant. So he's going to have that again playing next to a dominant guy. So that's why I don't see a drop off more than 3 sacks. So he had 15 sacks last season in 17 games, not excluding the AFC Championship game against the Patriots.
Well, so I mean, look, I'd jump up and down if he gets, if we put it at 25 sacks and he gets 12.5 and Defoe gets 12.5, I'm running to the bank and I'm depositing that and walking out with a smile on my face. Also, what I think a lot of people is I think everybody has that one idea of it's pass rushing downs, and we come out with that one package. And I don't think what people don't imagine is you'll see Ronnie Blair, you'll see Sheldon Day, you're gonna see Julian Taylor, you're gonna see Katavius Street. Now he's not a lock to make the roster, but I think he kind of gets lost in the mix of somebody that has some potential.
Katavius Street is 1,000% locked to be on the team next year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't take a flyer in the 4th round, in my opinion, on somebody who was recovering from the ACL. And, that's why you take him there, because you think he was a second. I mean, that's what he was actually looked at. He was looked at as a second, latest, a 3rd round type of guy. I think his range was like going to like mid-second, late second, the latest. But, once again, I catch your drift. Hey, he could end up looking like ass. He can get re-injured or something like that.
Well, also this is I agree. I'm not necessarily knocking your logic there. Your logic makes sense, but this is where I'm combating at. Is if you told John Lynch when he made that pick, if we were going to be picking at 2 this year, would you think that he would have took that? And that's my argument for it, is that we didn't expect to be drafting at 2. No. So Nick Bosa, I'm not going to say Josh Allen, because Josh Allen was kind of wasn't on necessarily everybody's radar. But the top tier pass rushers this year, we didn't expect to get, because we didn't expect to be picking high enough to get those type of players, is what I'm saying. So it's kind of like how we all thought about receiver. You and me came on the show last year a lot and said how, we talked about how necessarily we believed that there were going to be receivers cut from this team that would make other NFL rosters, just because we were so deep at receiver. That was the belief going into the year last year. Now, obviously, that didn't pan out, but my idea is I'm almost thinking that about defensive linemen, is you can't keep everybody. You can't keep everybody. And I do believe that, barring trades and things like that, there will be people, defensive linemen, that we cut that will at least make people's practice squads. at least be able to, people taking flyers on and things like that. Now, this is obviously before preseason, before we see how players perform and things like that. We obviously don't know who they're going to stash, kind of like, hey, we're not going to play this player because, we want to cut him and not have other teams pick him up. Right. We don't know those type of things. So that it was your logic is correct, and I'm not saying that Catavia Street won't. And I mean, I'm just saying the logic when we made that pick doesn't necessarily match the logic with the reality we're in right now, which is what we didn't think when we made that pick. We didn't think we were going to be picking at 2. So that's kind of like how sometimes a lot of draft is sometimes planning a year or 2 years ahead, but also you don't like to do that as much because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Imagine if we would have traded a first round pick last year, i.e., like we did the year we drafted Joe Staley.
I mean, that's part of the deal why I'm not like as sad about Khalil Mack, because we ended up trading obviously a 2020 second, which would have been pretty much worth like a high or pretty much third, like 57 overall. It's kind of like in a similar range by trading away next year's second rounder. But yeah, like imagine the freaking Raiders having the number 2 overall pick, the number 4
and the 4.
Pick. I mean, they wouldn't have 27. I think that's the Bears'. If I'm not mistaken, I think 24 was the Cowboys', or it's in reverse.
No, 24 is the Cry Girls, 27's the Bears.
The Bears, yeah, that's what I figured. Anyways, I feel perfectly happy. Hopefully, it's Nick Bosa. As far as from a talent perspective, I don't want to really. I mean, it's up to you getting on the off the field kind of BS. But at the end of the day, can't go wrong with Nick Bosa paired up with D Ford and having the other guys up.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. And then I'll speak on the off-field stuff just real quick. I'm not going to get deep into it, but this is so. Then if you go back to last year, okay, I come to you and I say, hey, Adam, I'm from the future. You could trade a second rounder 2020 for D Ford and get Nick Bosa or Quentin Williams or Josh Allen or whoever, or you can give up the number 2 overall pick for Khalil Mack. Which one would you take?
Man, honestly speaking, this is one of those things. This is like a freaking around the horn PTI type of question.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you won't be able to tell. I mean, as far as right now, I think everyone would probably still go Khalil Mack.
Really?
I think so. Just from a presence of. I mean, I think at the end of the day,
proven commodity.
Right, you kind of know what you're getting exactly right now at this very moment because Nick Bosa. I mean, technically speaking, you're bringing up Quentin Williams and Josh Allen as well. I think at this very moment right now, you could probably go Khalil Mack because once again, you don't know what the number 2 overall pick is going to turn into. Shit, we can trade down and end up taking like 4 guys by being in this position. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think by week 8 to 10, if that rookie that we take is lighting it on fire along with D4, you're going to be like, oh my God, the freaking 49ers freaking lucked the F out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And as we know, we're very fortunate to be in this position. I heard somebody yesterday tell me like, we're not lucky to be in this position. I'm like, yes, we technically are lucky. Obviously, I wasn't happy the way the season went and Jimmy tears ACL week 3, but are you kidding me? And some of the events that turned out for us to get it, the number 2 pick. I mean, because we're tied with 2 other teams.
If the way I look at it is that if you think that we were happy on how the season turned back, go to whatever episode number it was that was right after the Kansas City game. So probably about the week of the Battle of the Bay, and listen to the show, and it's pretty much like a morgue between me and Adam. Like Adam was like you'll clearly see we were not happy last year. Obviously you see Adam with the Jimmy G Cool jersey.
Finally, haven't rocked this trick in a while. When he went down last year, I was like, nope, I'm not wearing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I couldn't. I would just look down at my jersey and just shed a tear every time. But I love your little tweet this morning with the with that I replied, and all the Empire said, "Amen." You're like, in Jesus and Jimmy G Cool's name, we pray, Amen. Straight up, in Jimmy Jeebus. Anyway,
Straight up.
So, I personally, I I would say I'm with you because of the proven commodity. I'm with you because of the proven commodity, but part of me, like, I don't like it at 2, and I don't like it at 2 because what you can get me is you can get me D Ford, which obviously let's not think that D Ford is gonna be Khalil Mack.
By the way, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
How many sacks? I had to look it up right now. How many sacks do you think Khalil Mack had last year? Because I kind of forgot myself.
Was it 15?
Well, this is just regular season.
Yeah.
So D Ford had 14.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack actually had 12.5 sacks last year.
Wow.
So D Ford did more damage. Now, here again, to be fair, the Chiefs have such a potent offense that they were able to jump on people and essentially stomp them out in the throat.
You know what I'd be curious of if we could ever get a PFF membership? I'd be curious to look up pass rushing snaps.
Pass rushing what? Like grades?
Pass rushing snaps.
Oh,
because that
you don't need
right
PFF
there,
for that. I can Google that.
Yeah. Google, because that to me is interesting. But if let's say that D Ford had 100 more pass rushing snaps, that would make a lot more sense. Why you would have a sack and a half more. You've also got to realize, with you talking about how potent the Chiefs' offense was and everything, how bad the Raiders were, and how long did Khalil Mack play for the Raiders?
Well,
it was done before the season, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was like, hold
on. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I got it was Amari Cooper they traded in.
And once again, and Khalil Mack, who do you have on the opposite side? Leonard Floyd, Aaron Lynch. Lynch. Excuse me.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that one. Trent Baalke, bro. Trent Baalke. Anyway,
dude, remember how promising at one point Aaron Lynch looked?
He really was, though. I was juiced about Aaron Lynch. Not necessarily as Aldon Smith, but not necessarily like an Aldon Smith, but okay, we got something here. Because
100%.
What I try to tell people is that very few people are Aldon Smith. That's why you don't see Aldon Smiths everywhere. Very few people are Aldon Smiths.
Right.
My idea with Aaron Lynch and my idea now is that it's by committee. And what I say and what I mean by that is you put, let's just, for all intents and purposes, because it's easier to explain, Bosa, let's just say AA, Solly, whoever you want to say, Defoe and D Ford, together as one of them might not be Aldon Smith, but together as a unit, because this is where I think why our sack numbers, although better than last year, weren't quite what they were, is because what you saw is Defoe's not going to have a sack every game. I think the big difference is between this year and last year is that it's okay for Defoe to have a bad game because Ford's going to eat. It's okay for D Ford to eat because, for just this intensive purposes, Nick Bosa's going to eat. And so we'll have that consistent rush every game. We're not going to sit there and say, oh, Defoe didn't get 2.5 sacks. Oh, we're screwed.
Yeah. Right. Nobody, that's been the 49ers problem for a while, as far as like
since Aldon left.
We generate pressures close but no cigar, essentially, right?
Yeah. Those pressures are going to be sacks this year. Okay, one of the other things we wanted to get into was, real quick, we're going to wrap this up because I know Adam wants to get in his big 4-rounders. Real quick, John Lynch, the show, these will be in the show notes, but John Lynch, we're open to trading the second pick. We're not turning down receiver, which makes me think that they're going to add a receiver. 184 draftable players. He wouldn't say how many they had last year, but he said that's a significant amount less, which tells me that don't be heartbroken if you see a fifth, sixth, seventh round picks not making the team this year. I think that we were kind of spoiled with all our picks making the team the last couple of years. I don't think this will be the case this year. We're going to see some picks not make the team. And the biggest news out of John Lynch's press conference, because it wasn't like he was going to tell us who they're taking. The biggest news is that Joe Staley's going to be a Niner for life. John Lynch had pretty much came out and said, look, the Niner, basically, to paraphrase, Joe Staley's going to be a Niner for life. Joe said he doesn't want to play anywhere else. The Niners say that they don't want him to play anywhere else. Joe Staley's going to be a Niner for life. The only way I see Joe Staley not being a Niner for life is if they ever come to a point where Navarro Bowman-like situation. And what I mean is I don't think Joe Staley's going to quit on the Niners. I think that where what I say by that is Joe Staley thinks his talent is greater than what the Niners believe.
Well, I mean, let's keep it real too. Sorry to cut you off right there.
Yeah.
It's just, I was done. The circumstances when the things went down with Bowman. You got to remember, we're in the first year of a rebuild, and literally speaking, Bowman was on his last, not even leg, calf and below, essentially, right? Yeah. He didn't even have the whole leg or knee and down. So it was like a very, I think, panicked and like situation for him of like, hey, this is maybe it. And as we've noticed, it was. Yeah. So I mean, we got into it in the group chat the other day as far
as I saw the situation goes. I tried to stay out of that one because I was like, ooh, but so
long story short, I with everything that Lamar Bowman gave us and essentially tore his legs up for us, and everything, the blood, sweat, and tears that he literally put into it, I think that's literally the least the 49ers possibly could have done is to grant his wish. I mean, sometimes to go. Like kind of a thing. I mean, in my own personal opinion, I didn't see it as quitting when you're in the first year of a rebuild. If we were like on the playoff cusp still and he wanted to go, different story, because maybe he's the guy that helps you get over the hump, right? That was not the case whatsoever. 49ers were low-key trying to go younger, let's be honest.
Yeah, and, okay. I was just gonna say that
that's about it.
To really get in the situations, and then we'll move on. But to really get in the situations, I'll give Navarro Bowman credit this, is that he was stuck in between. He had signed his extension the last year of Trent Baalke. So he was what essentially happens when you have a new regime. He was signed to that extension by the previous GM, who also drafted him. And it was Scott McCloughan that drafted him. I apologize. It was Scott McCloughan. It was Scott McCloughan's last draft.
Baalke was like a scout, he probably had something to do with it, whatever.
But basically, he was signed by Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke was no longer the GM. We had drafted Reuben Foster to essentially replace him. And the Niners wanted to handle it sensitively because of what he meant to the franchise. I mean, let's not get it. I'll say this, and then we'll get off of it. I agree in your one statement that in 20 years from now, people won't remember Navarro Bowman saying that he wanted to be a Raider and all that other jazz. They'll remember the pick at the stick.
Let's be honest, that shit was all smoke. He didn't wanted to always be a Raider kind of a thing. Like he just, honestly speaking, I mean, it's also the convenience. He didn't want to move far away and shit like that. And the Raiders were just coming up like a playoff season, weren't they at the time? So
true.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, hey, I'll play local, have a chance to go to the playoffs.
I won't say that. I will say that they'll remember whatever negative feelings Niner fans have towards Navarro Bowman. We'll put it at that. They won't remember that. They'll remember the fourth down play in the NFC Championship game, and they'll remember the pick at the stick.
Doug,
I know I will.
How many people are salty towards Navarro Bowman? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, I don't want to name drop right now, but, me and him can talk about it even more so. Privately.
Yeah.
But, I haven't heard one person ever have any salty feelings whatsoever about Navarro Bowman. Ever.
I don't have saltiness towards him. Like, if I walked up to if Navarro Bowman walked next to me right now, would I just be like, oh, snap, that's Navarro Bowman?
Yeah.
Like, would I sit there and go take his picture and shake his hand and have him sign one of my flyers that I have? Yes, I would. Of course I would. But I did feel some type of way about that whole I wanted to be a Raider thing. Yeah, I think that's more just me being Bay Area and you not being Bay Area. So we're always gonna feel some type of way when it comes strictly, when it comes to the Raiders. Also, I don't think he wasn't Patrick Willis, and when I say Patrick Willis, he wasn't our leader. He wasn't the heart and soul of the defense. He was just a great player. I never saw Navarro Bowman as the heart and soul of our defense. To me, our heart and soul of our defense was Patrick Willis. And so to me, it's
man, I almost put Navarro Bowman at his peak prime, and let's not forget about this. I mean, in 2012, our actual Super Bowl year, when teams went to dime against us, who was the long linebacker that stayed in coverage? It was Navarro Bowman. It wasn't Patrick Willis.
Yeah. I was just going to bring that up. And so to me, this is the difference, and this is why I feel some type of way about Navarro Bowman. Not necessarily, or why I feel some type of way about the situation. Is what Patrick, when in the situation you just said, because I distinctly remember the opening game against the Packers. Ted Robinson pointing that out, that we were in dime and that Patrick Willis was off the field. I remember very distinctly remember Ted Robinson pointing that out. And so to me, how did Patrick Willis handle that? Now, we don't know what happened behind closed doors, but did he demand a trade? Did he, whine and cry? No, he just took it as a man and said, hey, this is what's best for the team. When Navarro Bowman was put in the exact same situation, hey, we got this new stud linebacker that's the future. We're going to put him in for you. What did Navarro Bowman do? Bitch, whine, and cry, and then when he didn't get his way, asked to be traded. Now, that's just it. Now, okay. So,
I mean, damn. Shit. All right. I mean, when people are, excuse me there. Jeez, I got so caught up. When people are mad, sometimes, shit, I don't know. Maybe I'm the type of person I'm like, yo, they were just caught up in the heat of the moment and essentially push and shove. And somebody wants to go, they want to effing go, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do believe that there are emotions in it. I do believe there were emotions in it.
I mean, shit, if anything, dude, I mean, Navarro Bowman maybe thought like, yo, you're in year one of rebuilding. You guys are not going to playoffs next year. Yeah. Like, at least you can let me grind out the season.
I could see both sides of it. I could definitely see both sides of it. I could definitely,
like, Kobe Bryant kind of comes to mind, that type of thing. Yeah. Like when he was on his last leg, you know what I mean? Like, did everybody say get Kobe off the court? His legs are kind of gone. His field goal percentage, this and that. I understand. At the end of the day, it's a business. So someone's like, I don't give a shit about that. But to be honest, now going back and thinking about 2017, I think that would have been kind of cool, to be honest. Even if the
person would have been his last hurrah.
Essentially, you know what I mean? Like, hey, let him kind of go out on his own kind of terms. The 49ers look good, kind of doing it. You know what I mean? Then move on, yada, yada. But
yeah, okay, I understand. And I will give Navarro, and one last thing, and we'll move on for it. I will give Navarro Bowman credit for this one thing, is that he had gone through a lot. Nobody worked harder than Navarro Bowman to come back. And so I do believe that his feelings were kind of hurt because he's like, look, I've been grinding. I busted up my knee. I busted up my Achilles. I did all this for this franchise. And let's be real. Trent Baalke caused Navarro Bowman's Achilles snap because he was on the field too damn much. So I understand some of Bo's feelings. I just feel that he could have handled it better. But last little note that I want to get to, we signed 2 offensive linemen, one played D-line. It'll be in the show notes. But our last little thing I thought was cool, and then we'll let Adam kind of do his little pre-draft thing, is the history of our picks. So the Niners had an article, it's in the show notes, where they broke down each one of our picks, and they put notable players at each one of those picks. But since we're Niner Faithful Radio and we don't give a damn about the rest of the league, I only picked out the Niners. So for the second overall picks in team history, um, was running back Ken Willard in 1965, Earl Morrall in 1956. 36th overall. Now this is an interesting one. Cap was 36th overall. Nose tackle John Hardy, 81. Um, halfback Don Lipson, 63. Fullback Ray Adams, 62. Third round, apparently we have never had a 67th overall pick in our history. I thought that was pretty interesting. 104th picks overall, which is fourth round. This is kind of interesting, but C.J. Beathard. Jay Moore, I remember Jay Moore. Big Isaac Sopowaga, big fan of Soap. And Charlie Beckman. Sixth round, Dick Schultz in 63. George Pirotovich, 62. And Earl Kezar in 57. And then this was another one that I think you'll get a kick out of this one. 112th, which is our last selection where we stand right now. Tim Rattay was a 212th overall pick. Dave Hetman in 65, and then Dick Guy in, I didn't see that last date, in 57. So I thought that was just a cool little tidbit that they did for, a cool little tidbit they did on the history of the team. Now, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Final little segment we got on our pre-draft episode. First round, who are we taking? We'll just kind of go through rounds, and we'll let you get a little player and then a little breakdown, and we'll go from there.
I'm all in Nick Bosa. I was getting a little concerned with there was some Twitter account out there that was like fully nosediving into like years past of like Nick Bosa's like likes and tweets and shit from Instagram, and it was actually majority of Instagram.
To just touch on that real quick, this is now those who have me on Facebook will know I'm very pro-black. I'm very I probably would have been a Black Panther if I grew up in that time. So cause I don't think Nick Bosa is racist because to me, I'll put it to you this way. I don't have a problem with the Niners selecting Nick Bosa because of his tweets and his Instagram and all that. Not because he deleted them, because to me, deleting doesn't change your opinion. But to me, I did my own personal research. I haven't found anything that I'm just like, okay, bro, like there's no explaining that way. Like, okay, so what? He thinks Beyonce's trash. Okay, fine. You know what? That's your opinion. You know what? Some of her songs are trash. And I think Beyonce's the hottest woman on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Every girlfriend I've ever had knows, hey, look, I will cheat on you with Beyonce. No hesitation. You don't like it, then looks like we're going to break up then. I'm sorry. I'm cheating on you with Beyonce. Okay. Colin Kaepernick, I'll excuse that just because I'll excuse that as maybe pro-America, anti-kneeling for the I won't take that as, racism. I'll just take that more as pro-Americanism.
Sure.
And, Black Panther, hell, you know what? As somebody who's pro-black, it might be funny to hear me say this, but I haven't even seen it. Honestly, I have reasons.
I haven't seen that shit either. I'm not.
I have reasons for that I won't get into this show because this is a political show, but I do have reasons for not watching Black Panther. But okay, fine. You thought Black Panther was trash.
Maybe off
if he had started liking some things by the Klan, or started retweeting some things by the Klan, or he had family members in the Klan type of thing, okay, I might be a little bit more concerned about that. And this is just my personal research. I fully believe that after the Reuben Foster situation and all that, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, if there were any possible questionable things that came up, and I'm pretty sure they talked to his black coaches. I'm pretty sure they talked to his black teammates. I'm pretty sure they talked to black friends he has. If there was anything.
He's been playing football since a little kid, like literally speaking.
And I'll put it to you this way. I'll wrap it up by saying this. I think this will be a more appropriate way to end this.
Go ahead.
I don't think that you can play a sport that not being racist, not doing anything to offend anybody, but that is way majority black. Okay, let's be real. Most people who play football are black. Okay, let's just be real. Okay, so you can't play a sport that's that dominated by black people in the South. Okay, where he's from Florida. He's from the same state my daddy is. Okay, be racist or have questionable, race issues, and not have a teammate say something.
Right, you would have heard about one confrontation.
I'm sorry. I fully believe. I fully believe that just no teammate having an issue, no fight in the locker room, no ex-girlfriend bringing it up one time that he said the N-word, just nothing. And so I don't believe that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan will put their careers, let's put it this way, if Nick Bosa is a bust, they will be fired. Okay, like they're putting their careers on the line with this pick. If there were any questionable things besides, injury or whatever like that, they would not take him. Not after Reuben Foster.
Right. Well, I mean, different scenario, but
because questionable character.
You're not worried about Nick Bosa getting off the field trouble or some shit like that.
What I meant is questionable character.
No, but actually, you know what? You're technically right because like, hey, he might have said or liked something very so stupid. Who knows? He can get loaded up his ass one day and then end up liking something that is like, oh shit, there's a major backlash on it. I don't know
like he liked a white supremacist page on Facebook or something.
I've heard about a San Francisco, right? Exactly, that'd be to the extreme, but we all heard about how liberal San Francisco can kind of be. So and that's
as I'm standing around a bunch of hippies. Anyway,
there you go. Just to cut it short and sweet, something that kind of was concerning for me, even though at the time the dude was literally 16 to 17 years old. Essentially, he liked something on Instagram like 4 or 5 years ago. He's I think he's turning 22 like in like 3-4 months or something like that. Anyway, what I'm getting at with that is he liked an Instagram post from one of his friends, and he threw all kinds of clown type of hashtags in it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Not yet.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't. But
so this was the one, and I didn't even want to retweet it out there because I didn't want to like pretty much throw out some smoke for essentially to rile up my followers and I would spread out like a damn wildfire. But so essentially, and I'll give my take on it a little after. Golly, I started to overtalk. But what I'm getting with that is one of the hashtags was essentially an altered N-word that was like 12 letters long, 10 to 12 letters. There was no I in there. There was just like a bunch of E's and bullshit, if you can kind of get my sense. And he liked that.
Yeah.
So this was 4 or 5 years ago. So once again, altered kind of N-word. But here's the thing. Check this out. Obviously, at the time, he wasn't really thinking 4 or 5 years ahead to the NFL draft. We've all seen a bunch of people get caught up around draft time, not just NFL draft, NBA, whatever. People going back to old shit and digging up old shit. And to repop it out. So I'm sure he wasn't thinking, hey, is this going to get me caught up later? But maybe he literally just kind of liked it and kind of went under the radar. And my take on it is, obviously, I'm very careful because I'm kind of running my own show and I definitely don't want to offend anybody. But what I'm getting at is, a lot of the times I like shit that I don't even really like because I want to give support to that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, this is to go back to I had not heard about that Instagram post, but basically to get back to what you're saying, or to get back to basically what I put is as a person who's half black, okay, I consider myself black mixed with white, but however you want to, I have a white mother and a black father. As somebody who is considers himself black, I don't have the problem taking the Niners taking with Nick Bosa. And you're talking about somebody who's a very pro Kaepernick supporter, all those type of things. So,
which is great to hear.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I don't believe that they're going to take him if they found something questionable. I don't.
What
You know,
have you seen the latest smoke with Nick Bosa? Like what he said the last like day or two?
No, I didn't.
Well, and obviously going back to last week where he said like I guess he unliked and like as far as
yeah.
He's like more twinned on. I mean, you heard about everyone and their mom has heard about that one. Pretty much he said he took those off and he'll stop speaking his mind because I guess he might be going to us, obviously, the 49ers. But the last like day or two, he pretty much really complimented the 49ers in terms of like having like a family feeling to it and all that. So what I'm guessing is happening is like, hey, Nick, pretty much like he's throwing this out there like, hey, guys, if I'm drafted by the 49ers, apparently y'all know what has happened in my past. And I just want y'all to know is I'm never going to open up my mouth about anything political ever again. And so I essentially won't be a problem about any of that, nor to create any issues in the locker room or any of that. Like he's putting all that political shit on the side just to talk about with his homies and in his text messages or whatever. So
and look, I want to make this quite clear. I don't give a damn that he's a Trump supporter. Okay? I want to make that clear. This is not a bashing on Trump. This is not pro-Trump, anti-Trump. This is none of that. I don't really give a damn. I mean, for all we know, Jed York could have voted for Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. You know, I don't think so, but you never know. So that's not what. So this is just more concern with. It's just we're liberal here. You know, we're a very liberal area, and so, you know, it's whatever. If you know what, I bet you if you went to my Facebook, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I actually, you know what, I'll go home and I'll come out and I'll confess something. You know, when I was 16, I lost some friends because I put on Facebook some anti-gay stuff. I'm not going to lie, okay? I was 16 years old. I was stupid. I had some stupid opinions. You know what I'm saying? And that was probably a little bit of my father rubbing off on me. You know, because I was raised with that wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I was raised by my dad was raised by very Southern Christian people.
I was just about to bring up religion, you know, like.
You know, like, yeah, my Grammy is that Praise Jesus Grammy. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, the type of we can't even say God. We can't even say God darn it. We got, you know, very gosh darn it type of person. Yeah. You know, like my Grammy hears you say Lord's name in vain, you're getting slapped. Okay? So I was 16 and I was stupid. Now, one of my best friends is gay. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, sometimes, and I think what it also is, what people don't understand is that Nick Bosa is 22 years old, probably never really left Florida. You know what I'm saying? So let's put it this way. Nick Bosa probably does have some racist people in his family. So what happens when you leave for college? So I'll ask any of our viewers, take yours that are older, you know, old enough to reflect on college. Were you the same person at 18 when you left college at 18 than you were when you graduated college at 22? 23?
I mean, I was literally just about to say that's the beautiful thing about life. Like, I remember the time, let's just be honest, as sports people, going back to like middle school, it was like, I hate the Spurs, I hate the Patriots, I hate these kind of teams and yada, yada. You're just in your feelings. You absolutely hate them. You know what I mean? For whatever particular reasons. And then I've gotten a little older. Some people, I guess, will still be 6 years old and essentially hate to the extreme for no damn reason. And will never give credit and will never give any respect. Where I'm getting with that is I grew up and I was like, you know what? You don't got to love it, but you definitely got to low-key kind of respect it. And I've gotten around to being like, essentially being logical of, I was way over the top. I'll admit to it. And obviously, yeah, you mature as time goes on. I mean, that shit is common sense. If you're not maturing as time goes on, you're having a really good time, or I'm not quite sure.
And I'll put it, maybe not the same type of, you know, issues or whatever, but we'll go back in Niner history to talk about Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice talked about a lot about how it was a big adjustment coming from a small town in Mississippi to San Francisco, California. You know? And so what I'm saying is I don't know personally Nick Bosa's story, but it sounds like he grew up around Jacksonville. Probably never left Florida a day in his life. until unless it was for football. Until when? Until he went to Ohio, and then you know what? He went. Nick Bosa could have not even. He could have lived in a city in Florida where it was like 2% black, where he had like 2 black kids, and then all of a sudden he gets around more black kids and gets black friends and or friends of other. I won't just put it to a black thing. Friends of other races, of walks of life. You
Yeah.
know, people who aren't from the South. He meets some people from the Midwest and things. And your opinions change as you get. And I think sometimes that I will admit this is that sometimes there's a lot of pressure on. Let's be real, some kids, bruh. Like let's be real. Like some kids. You're 18 years old. Raise your hand if you never did something stupid at 18. We used to hood surf at 18. Like literally, my boy would be going 30 miles down 30 miles an hour, and we're holding on to the roof like, hey, 30 miles an hour down Hicks Road, which is a very windy road in the mountains.
I don't even want to think about all the extremely I literally pray to God every single day. Please forgive me for any sins, bad thoughts, and actions I've committed till this very day. Because we're effing human and we can have some twisted and sick thoughts in our heads, and sometimes, unfortunately, that leads to actual actions.
Exactly. So essentially enough about Nick Bosa, especially since we might not even take him. But okay, second round, who you got?
Second round, who I got? I mean, hey, everybody. I mean, you're putting me on the actual spizot right now as far as who would I think we're actually gonna take?
Or okay, I won't say who you want.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm very torn about. You want to give yourself a wide receiver and a possible playmaker to add some further juice and oomph into the offense. Jimmy coming back, third year of the scheme. A lot of guys should be taking a little step forward from just experience alone. And then the other part of me is I mean, went on Twitter about this yesterday. It's pretty much your head is saying, I mean, shit, I don't even know if this is gonna make sense right now. Pretty much what I'm getting at, offensive line is something that I feel like we can get by on with the guys we have right now, assuming everybody's healthy. But it's just I feel man, once again, we're already low key. I'm not gonna say 6 deep on wide receivers as if top to bottom, everybody's set to be a possible, is a starter or a push starter. But what I'm getting with that is you add a boost in the offensive line, and then that's once again going to give Jimmy more time to go through his progressions, possibly a little more time and confidence for Kyle Shanahan to actually dial up some bigger chunk plays, because then that's going to have more time. And obviously keeping Jimmy clean and healthy. And once again, I think that'll actually lead to some of the wide receivers we already have actually benefiting from that, because then they have more time to get separation, right? And then the other part of me thinks there's going to be probably a juicy wide receiver sitting there on top of 36, which is also the same reason I think you can wait until the top of the third round to get your wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I'm very torn about wide receiver and offensive line. Part of me thinks you can also get offensive line on top of the third round too. I think it's going to have to kind of come down to best player available. I think they have to see how the big board comes along, because
who falls. Because I think that this draft, from what, and we'll stop it at second round, but what I got with this is, this draft is because of quarterbacks, and obviously quarterbacks are always going to go higher than people think they are because they're quarterbacks. Some team's going to panic or something. My thing is that this sounds like a draft that some good players are going to fall in that late first, early second range, where I could see that maybe, let's say that we think our number 2 need is receiver. But let's say that a prospect that comes around once in a generation that we didn't think would fall to the second round is available at the second round. I don't think we pass on him. John Lynch has said that we're going to take best player available. I don't think that literally means best player available regardless of need. I think that more says, hey, if we need a receiver and we need a lineman and we think the lineman's better than the receiver, we're going to take the lineman. If we think a receiver has a higher ceiling, we're going to take the receiver.
For sure.
I personally, basically, I think Shanahan obviously has people that he has circled.
Well, that's kind of the beautiful thing.
And for example, I don't believe this, and I don't want him to take it. I don't want us to take him, but let's just say the name that everybody's talking about, DK Metcalf. let's just say DK Metcalf is sitting there at second round, and we may have thought we were going to go, but Shanahan has him ranked as the best receiver. Screw offensive line, screw whoever we thought was going to be there. We're going to take our number one rated receiver. It's basically essentially what I'm going to say. We might have not planned to take linebacker with our second pick and move back in the first round, because John Lynch had came out and admitted that he thought Reuben Foster wasn't going to be available, and the further he slipped, the more likely it came that we traded up. I see, not necessarily DK Metcalf, but I see a receiver being that type of player where, hey, we didn't think he was going to be available at 36, or let's just say 34, just for an example. We didn't think he would be available at 34. He was, so we made the trade, or we executed and made the selection. I think that's what it's going to be. If I don't think that it's going to be based on need. I think the last two drafts have been, hey, we need this position, this position, this position. I think this is more, we want this player, this player, this player, and this player. I think we're more player-based than position-based this draft, if that makes any sense.
Right. Sorry, I'm over here. By the way, I looked at the up to the minute odds. Kyler Murray's, according to FanDuel, is at minus 400.
Still?
Yep. Well, a couple will have them bounce around minus 300 BS, but yeah, it's still up to minus 400 right now. But there was also a report out there, and once again, I am not believing anything at this very moment, because you can easily twist it the other way. So supposedly, according to Matt Mayoko, that things got a little testy, supposedly, like in an interview with DK Metcalf and the 49ers. And you know what that makes me think of? DK Metcalf right now is looking like he possibly may slide. I think the Buffalo Bills might do the Buffalo Bills type of thing, and I think it would make partial sense to give Josh Allen a weapon and the other guys they kind of have going for their offense. Because Josh Allen's like a backyard type of quarterback a little bit. He's a good scrambler. He has a huge arm, so DK Metcalf sounds like it would make sense. Long story short, let's just say Metcalf is falling like in the lower 20s or something like that. I think that was kind of twisted, that we don't like him. Because once again, you can easily spin it the other way to create the illusion that you're not interested in him and things did not go well. And then you flip the script and you possibly end up trading up for him if he ends up sliding far enough.
Exactly. Or maybe not just DK Metcalf in particular. I mean, yeah, okay, I could see that. I could see that. I could see that. But I'm saying that a type of player that I could definitely see that. I think the one thing which I loved about Bulky, and one of the very few things I love about John Lynch, is they're aggressive when it comes to probably about the only time Trent Bulky was aggressive was when it came to draft day trade. So I believe that I'm not necessarily, people always ask, who do you think we will take? Who do you want us to take? Obviously, I have some players, if the hype about Quentin Williams is true, and he's an Aaron Donald type of player, a once-in-a-generation Aaron Donald type of player, I say we take him.
But here's the thing, though, man. He didn't do that much in that final championship game.
That's true.
And everybody is bringing up Aaron Donald, and I brought this up, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I'm not saying pressure doesn't really matter, but Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, and Michael Brockers, the top three defensive tackles for the Rams in the Super Bowl, they combined for a big fat 0 on sacks as well. Everybody literally wants to keep throwing. Imagine how much worse you do think he's the best player available, for example. You pass on more of a need, and you never want to full potato draft on need, meaning this guy should be drafted 15, 20 picks later. You know what I'm saying? But imagine you do go with we just can't turn down the best player available, and he ends up being a bust. That'd be a double whammy. You're better off taking the quote unquote more of a little need, even if he doesn't just because let's just say Quentin Williams will be better than Nick Bosa, from a talent perspective. If the gap is still small enough, that's still a win at the end of the day. They don't have to be exactly, or your guy doesn't always have to dominate. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If the gap is like close enough. So I don't know. And here's another question that I've asked you before. Is Quinn Williams going to be better than Arik Armstead this upcoming season?
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Is he going to be better than what? Probably not.
Here's another scenario.
But then let me flip it. Let me flip this question out at you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up after this. Let me throw this question at you then. But you're thinking this year, but in 3 years down the road, do you think that Quentin Williams can give you more than Arik Armstead can give you 3 years down the road?
And that's what everybody's kind of talking about. Of course, I'm not saying do I think that's gonna happen? I mean, shit. After all this hype, I would hope so. But
right?
I mean,
just off of the hype that he's gotten.
I mean, that's what the NFL draft is all about sometimes, baby. Just all about that big little hype train. Here's a scenario that I was thinking about. What happens if you take Arik Armstead and you put him in that championship college game? Do you think he has a better game than Quinn Williams? I would like to think so. Like, dude, are you kidding me? Arik Armstead. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just say the 49ers do end up kind of trading him. And I think that's part of the reason, and I'm about to tweet it out right now, actually. That's part of the reason that I feel like we threw out Solomon Thomas out there. Because if you're telling people we would rather trade Solomon Thomas because we'd rather keep Arik Armstead, then what do teams kind of think? Or what are you trying to create? You're trying to create two teams. Oh shit! If they rather trade Solomon Thomas, and they rather keep Arik Armstead, then Arik Armstead's a better player. So why don't I go ahead and try to get him instead? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And this is we'll kind of wrap the show up at this. Is that's what is infuriating about this time of year, but probably why we love to talk about it, is that every single thing that's said this type of year from an organization, whether it's to a fan, the media, through their Twitter, whatever it is, it's said with a reason. It's not said for shits and giggles. It's said with a purpose. It's said to create some type of narrative for a purpose. You know, whether it's to hype up a player for a trade, whether it's to, do a 42 fake and make you think that you really want this player when you really want this player, but everything's said with a purpose. And I'll admit that. To me, this is what my draft is about, is that I believe that like on Facebook and Twitter and various different things I've said today. Good morning, Niner Empire. Let's go draft our next Hall of Famer. How about that? And that's what I'm trusting. I'm not necessary. Should we take Quentin Williams over Nick Bosa? Hell, they're both gamble. You know what I'm saying? All right, look at Tom. The draft is such a crapshoot because Tom Brady went in the 6th round, and he was the best player out of that draft. Think about that.
Yeah.
A 6th round pick was the best player out of his draft. Now that's not a knock against all the players of that draft. That's just saying how good Tom Brady is. Hell, Joe Montana was the best player at his draft, and he wasn't taken to the 3rd round. So, to me, Frank Gore, perfect example. Those type of things. So to me, I'm worried about 2 just because we really suffered to get that 2. But if our number 2 pick ends up being a bust or an okay player, but our 3rd round pick is the next Jerry Rice, I'm not mad. That's my goal. Regardless of what round it comes, regardless of what position, whatever it is, draft me a Hall of Fame player. Draft me a player that I'm watching in 20 years and can't get inducted in Canton. Give me that out of this draft. Give me a couple Pro Bowlers, some good players, and give me a good player and give me a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's all I ask. Now if I put odds on it, that Hall of Famer is probably going to come at 2. You would think, but you never know. I mean, who is it? Let's perfect example, and then we'll go ahead and end it. But perfect example, who is a better player? Frank Gore or Alex Smith? Like, obviously, the answer is very clear. And, Alex Smith was the first overall pick and Frank Gore was the first pick in the third round. But I don't care that Alex Smith was the first pick and Frank Gore was a third rounder because Frank Gore was, was a Hall of Fame running back. And Alex Smith was a serviceable quarterback. So I don't care about position. I just care that we got a serviceable quarterback who was serviceable and I think could have won us a championship under the right circumstances, and a Hall of Fame running back. So if we can do that, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. So that's pretty much it. But before we get out of here today, we're going to remind everybody to go to SeatGiant.com, use the promo code NinerFaithfulRadio to make all of your purchases, and you not only save, but you help out the show as well. Make sure to like us on Facebook at Niner Faithful Radio, Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio, Twitter at Niner Faithful R, and Adams at 49ers Insiders. And last but not least, if you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure to rate us a 5-star review and give us 5 stars. The podcast will be available tomorrow on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Blueberry, and Spreaker. And also make sure to subscribe on YouTube, hit that notification bell. And also, real quick, before we get out of here, Adam, did you do that Wonderlic sample test?
No. Did you send that to me on accident? Shit.
I can't remember if I did or not. Well, I went ahead and did it. I got 31 out of 50, 62%. So I got above average.
Really? Nice. I mean, not surprising, as in, I thought it would be lower. It kind of just thinking about some other people. We had this discussion about Wonderlic tests. I mean, Frank Gore is always going to be the number one guy that kind of comes to mind. I remember what was his his
was ridiculously low. I think not, of course, memory. I'm not meaning this any disrespect to number 21 because anybody who listens to the show knows that I love number 21. I think it was pretty much where if it had been an IQ test, they might have put him in special classes. No disrespect, but basically it wasn't. Yeah. Well, to me, is it that this is how I looked at it. It wasn't rocket science. It was the problem I have with the Wonderlic test is that I did most of it without a calculator. So my math score could have been a little, You feel me?
Yes, sir.
And math actually happens to be one of my strong suits. But it was a lot of those, it was just little things, like a lot of Paris to apple as sidewalk is to elephant. So what I think the thing I knock about the Wonderlic test is that I think everybody, no matter who you are, is gifted at knowledge. I can't tell you anything about rocket science, but I could probably tell you who our first round pick was in 1972. You know what I'm saying? Literally, I don't know who our first round pick was in 1972, but still, I can't, I have people that literally I know people that can program you a computer, right? Genius. My grandfather worked for IBM. I believe he was a programmer, but I know he worked for IBM. This man is a genius. But when it comes to social interactions, being able to sit down and just have a call, being able to walk in and ask a manager for an application. No, my baby mama, same way. My daughter, my children's mother, genius, right? Can tell you things about the stars and universe and math and just things that will blow your mind. But being able to walk in the Metro store and saying, hey, I was wondering, how do I pay my phone bill? Nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
And so the thing I hate about the Wonderlic test is I don't think it to me, I don't view it as intelligence, because you could be brilliant at one thing and horrible at the next. You could suck at math, but, be awesome at engineering. Well, no, you can't.
Right.
But
really
you get what I'm trying to say.
It really is a stupid test because what it kind of comes around to, part of it is they're trying to see, I think, how fast you'll be able to adapt to like scheme and stuff.
And that's what I get out of the Wonderlic test is how well do you do under pressure?
Oh, this is knowledge pressure. This isn't, hey, we're going to put you through drills pressure.
No. Quick thinking.
More weight than others.
Quick thinking pressure. And but also it could just be some people are terrible test takers. But, what I'm saying is, hey, you got 5 minutes. Let's get this done. How do you problem solve? Can you sit there and say, hey, fuck it, I'm going to skip this one and come, what I'm saying? How do you handle that situation?
Right. And I think, go ahead. Sorry. It's just a plus, it's like a PFF grade, if it's really high grade, you're like, great, that sounds good. But, if it isn't the greatest, you still know about that person anyway. Like, you don't need the PFF grade to tell you what this person is.
And also, I think what it is it was developed under the system where it's, if you don't know 2 + 2 is 4, you can't pick up an offensive playbook. But what's the famous saying about Terry Bradshaw? He couldn't spell cat if you handed him the C and the T.
Right, and I brought him up the other day too, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
too. And I was about to say, like, sometimes people in life, and you made a great point, they only care about a certain interest and essentially don't give a rat's ass about anything else. They don't care if they can be illiterate at anything else, as long as they're, for example, some people with sports. I'm probably partially guilty of it.
I love history. I love
history.
You know what I'm saying? I was all good in history class. Science, man, you couldn't pay me to go to science. I did. I wasn't a big cutter in school, but still. Like, I don't give a damn about science.
Right. I always did enough to get by.
Class, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure we all are like that.
And I'm sure you remember hearing stories. There were some dudes that literally would not participate in X amount of periods or courses or whatever. Yeah. But like they had that one particular interest that they were actually really good at.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It happens all the time. But
weird.
To get back to the thing is that basically, I think that Terry Bradshaw doesn't give a damn about, they didn't have the Wonderlic test back then, but still, I don't think he gives a damn about no Wonderlic test when he's looking down at 4 Super Bowl rings. So,
and he's been on TV for like 20 years, and somebody was like, they thought that I meant like he gives really great input. Like, dude, you essentially can't be like pretty slow and still be able to read the monitors and yada yada and be able to actually being able to you're people that producers and shit are in your ear literally, so you got to talk and listen and shit at the same damn time. So let's just say you can't be that dumb, according to what the seed has been planted about him, and supposedly according to the books, he's not the smartest guy. But
okay, so we'll go ahead and end it after I say this one thing. But you know what? I'll put it to you this way. If you think any person can do TV, okay, can do that, I challenge you to do this.
No.
Do a podcast by yourself.
Dude, I want to start doing a little I might do one in a little bit, but even thinking about doing a Periscope, for the second time is a little gut wrenching. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because what I tell people is this, is that I remember when I first did my first episode of Niner Faithful Radio. Yeah, I was nervous and all that, but I remember thinking to myself, like, hey, you know what, T? This is this is just talking about the Niners. This is what you've done since you were a little kid. You're destined to do this. And I remember getting on my first episode, and it is so weird. It is so weird because what's different is, I think what people don't understand is we do things like this. Now we don't go through and we don't edit, and we have a show outline, but we don't have a script or anything like that. So we don't edit. We just keep everything live because I like to do the show like that, because I figure if I'm ever on TV, they ain't gonna edit shit out. So might as well, get used to doing live things.
Yeah, this is the definition of real talk.
Yeah, real talk. Let's go. But also is that, there's no you know what I'm saying? When you start, it's little things that you don't notice that you do in conversations that ain't gonna sound good on a podcast.
No.
And so it's even little things like losing your train of thought. Just little things like that. But anyway, we'll go ahead, and I want to let everybody know me and Adam will be back live on Sunday. We said 2. We said I'll go look. I'll go through this. Make sure when I
have to pull up the draft schedule again and kind of set up, a little for people after. Actually, no, I'm tripping. The last day is Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah. So I know we'll be back live on Monday. I'll go ahead and look at the library to see when I booked the study room. And I know football season. Oh, and then we got to go.
Dude, what's the deal? And how long are we starting? When are you going to start the drinking show?
The drinking show?
I'm like, do I go down the beach right now to the 49ers bar? Do I try to do a little something before I leave? I'm not sure.
But yeah, so we'll be live on Sunday, and then we'll have a couple months to and then we'll have football. We officially know September 8th. Can't wait. So we shall see y'all next week. I'm gonna go hop into Kezar pub right now to go ahead and check it out. I've never been inside, so I'm gonna take.
You're gonna make a scene and yell at everybody?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm just yelling there. No.
Just get in the host's face. You see this?
Slap him around. You see this?
No, none of that. Okay, none of that.
I'm just kidding. Probably gonna go have a pint, but I'm gonna go post some videos. It's pretty cool. What Kezar Pub used to be back in the day was that this was the meetup spot. So people would come out because we're literally. I wish we were able to fix the video, but I'll take a video of a different day. I'll actually reserve it, and we'll be able to actually do a show there, and it'll be all cool. But sorry everything didn't work out. But literally, Kezar, I'm staring at Kezar Stadium right now.
I mean, technically speaking, I don't know how much of a mission you want to go on. There is the next 2 days. Let me ask you this before we go. What are the odds? And I'm probably about to make a tweet about it probably right now in a minute. What are the odds that we possibly trade back in the first round?
I think high.
I think would it be awesome in terms of let's get our guy. Let's also get the 5th-year option, which is always kind of nice. But I think it's also about making a splash and setting the tone to everybody and their mom that the 49ers are all in this season and we're on an effing mission.
Yep. Because this is what I think is let's just say whoever the Niners have rated on their board first. Let's just say it's Bosa for all intents and purposes. And let's say Arizona takes Bosa. Or let's say the Jets trade up and take Bosa, or to whatever situation it is. And Kyler Murray is on the board at 2. Okay? What big of a far drop-off is it between who the Niners have rated 2nd and who they have rated 3rd? If the drop-off is not that much, between 2nd
and 3rd, I think it is.
And a Montez, or what I'm saying is, is how do we feel about the pass rusher or whatever position we're looking at that's around the range we're trading in? And basically, what's the compensation plus the player we can get versus, let's say, Quentin Williams or whatever? I think it's high. I think it's high because what I think it is I think what John Lynch wants multiple hits this year. I think he knows that he needs to get this needs to be a bang for the buck type of draft. And so if the drafts are crapshoot, what's the best way to come out, not crapping out?
Well, I brought this up not too long ago. So here's the thing. I feel like it's the gambling term. Like you're essentially playing with house money because we weren't supposed to be at the number 2 overall pick. So to use a gambling analogy, do you want to go all in one bet, who in this scenario would be Nick Bosa, thinking that like you can't lose, you know what I mean? You've done all your research, yada yada, like this is gonna make you rich, essentially. Or do you want to, in a trade down scenario, essentially make 3-4 separate bets, and you think even if you just win 2 of them, that it might be just as good as like going all in. You know what I mean? Like as far as one.
I will say this is the reason why you're my co-host, because I ramble a lot, and you find a good way of putting what I'm trying to say in a better sense. Like, because that's essentially what I'm trying to say is if you're a betting man, you're betting that because we're not going to hit on every pick. So
right. And like you brought up, our 53 is already getting kind of tight. It's getting kind of full. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
it's getting
exactly.
There's going to be some hard situations.
So my view on this is that if you're going to hit out of 7, let's just say 1 out of every 3 players. So that means what's better, hitting out of 2 out of 6 or 3 out of 12? It's going to be better to hit out of 3 out of 12. So you're going to make sure that you have those 12. I'm not saying we're getting 12 picks, but you're going to want, if you're going to hit out of every 1 to 3 picks, you're going to want as many picks as possible because that means you're going to hit more. And that's why I think that the idea of us in the right scenario of trading back is very high. I think I think in the right scenario,
it could.
In the right scenario, trading back is very high. Because this is my thing about it is let's say that we have Devin White is a name I'm kind of been hearing throwing around. We're not at 2, but the 4 to 6 range. You know, that 4 to 6 range.
He's being projected to go to the Bucks at 5. I've been seeing them on
5?
there.
Okay, so perfect. Let's say the Raiders want to trade at 4. Let's say the Raiders offer us 4, 17, or I'm sorry, 4, 24, and a 5th rounder.
Hold on. Not for Devin White, right? You're talking about for Kyler Murray?
Yeah. I'm saying Kyler Murray is available at 2.
Oh. Here's the thing. 424. What else?
Just throwing numbers out. We have the trade chart available so that you can look and see how the trade would work out. It's going to be available.
No, well, I tweeted this last night. So the Raiders number 4 and number 24 adds up to 2,540 points. The 49ers second overall pick is worth 2,600 points. That matter of the 60 points is like a mid to later like 4th round pick.
So then that works out perfect.
But if somebody's desperate, sometimes you gotta essentially get more than the actual what the draft value chart says, as we know. What I mean?
So that actually works out perfect to my point. Fine, 4, 24, and I'm starting the conversations at 4, 24, and a 5th rounder.
That's what I mean.
Just to start the conversation.
You could probably you could squeeze out their 4th round pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, you probably could. You could maybe even twist. I did
it yesterday. Equal value would be getting their 4th, and we'd give them the 5th. I'm sorry.
We don't have the 5th.
No. My bad. We'd give them our 4th. Shit, man, I'm blanking out. Go ahead.
But basically, yeah, I think we could even maybe get their 3rd, depending on where their 3rd's at.
I'm sorry. That's what it was. We'd get their 3rd, I think, and then we'd give them. We'd actually get their 3rd and I think their 7th round comp pick. No, I'm thinking the Rams right now in my head. I just got it twisted.
But basically, the conversation would be started, right? I would take that. I would take that.
See, that's the thing too. Going back to being lucky to playing with the house money, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't want to get super rich because you essentially shouldn't be in this position anyways. So kind of why not go all in? But here's the thing too. See, that's the tricky part. Instead of going all in on one bet, which would be Nick Bosa, and let's just say you end up trading down, what happens if all those bets, odds are probably you're going to win 1 out of the 3 or whatever. Let's just say you get 3 different bets from trading down. What happens if those picks are like meh or don't even pan out? And Nick Bosa I'm not saying he has to be a monster, but if he's a winning bet. So instead of going all in one bet, you got too cute, you traded down, and it kind of screwed things up.
True. I think, look, either way, I'm not mad. If we pick at 2, we're going to get a stud, possible Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad. We trade back, okay, cool. We might get, instead of 1 stud, maybe 3, 4 Pro Bowlers. Instead of 1 stud Hall of Famer, we get 4 Pro Bowlers for the next 10 years. So I'm not mad either way. I think.
Yeah. It sounds lovely. It sounds awesome as hell. It really does.
It sounds nice when it's a couple hours before the draft and you're trying to kill time. But
well,
yeah,
do I dare
all
say it's like
reality,
picky one chick compared to dating 3 other girls? It's like, hey, why don't you just sleep with one?
I think the way I look at it is this: is that if the guy we want, like, can't, Shanahan said he wouldn't be able to sleep if they didn't draft, Joe Williams. If Shanahan says or Lynch says I couldn't sleep if we didn't draft Nick Bosa. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
If he's there, they're gonna take it.
Well,
the only way I see us not putting at 10 is if you get the type of haul. If it's a 2017 situation with Chicago, where they're gonna give us, okay, cool, New York, you want to move up one spot to get Quentin Williams, and we want and so we can move down and still take Bosa.
No, that'd be the ultimate thing, because I was just about to bring up to you the Raiders situation sounds lovely. It really does. You know what I mean? Let's just say you're able to get.
I'd be more for that.
Well,
to move down one spot.
Right, it has to be that way, because if you move to number 4, obviously speaking, the Jets could easily take Nick Bosa. So then, if the 49ers are all in Nick Bosa, then you can't take the risk of going back 2 spots. Or what happens if the Jets trade away the pick to somebody else that comes and takes Nick Bosa?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they want to, you know what I mean, give their fan base a little spark and a boner, and they're like, you know what, let's go ahead and trade up and get Nick Bosa. So that's why I think at the end of the day, it's.
I see what you're saying. But to me, basically to wrap it up, I know I've been saying that a lot, but look, bro, we've been waiting for this day a long time, so me and Adam deserve to take as long as we want.
Yeah.
But basically, to sum it up, how I personally feel is that if we can get in the range where if we can get in the range where we can get Bosa or Williams, I'll take that trade. Like, if we could sit there and say, okay, cool, we're in a position where, hey, if they take Bosa, we take Williams, they take Williams, we take Bosa, cool. If we don't feel secure that we can get who we want, let's say we trade down to 6 and we can't get what we want, unless it's something ridiculous, like a Ricky Williams type of trade, I'm not touching it.
Yeah,
I say pick. It would have to be the point where, like, a ridiculous, probably not going to happen trade. You know what I'm saying?
And somebody brought up the Raiders trading away next year's first-round pick as maybe part of the package, just to say if some shit does go down. Kyler Murray's available too, which is once again an exhausted topic. And thank God we're like 3 hours away. But But I don't, the Raiders are moving, and the NFL draft is taking place in Vegas next year. I think I'm pretty sure they're going to want to have a first-round pick. I mean, you can't draft in Vegas.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. No, I'm gonna look. If somebody offers me 2 firsts and like a 3rd and a 5th, whether it be 2 firsts this year or a first this year and next year, and a 5th this year, that'd be really hard to turn down.
So bottom line, what do you think happens?
I think we pick.
And who?
I think. Put me on the spot. I'm gonna say Williams edges it out.
Really?
Okay. You know what? I'll say if Bosa goes number 1, it's Quentin Williams, no question.
Sure.
See you later. If Bosa's available, I think Williams.
You can still stick with Williams.
I think it's just I think because I don't want to be wrong and people say, you're wrong, and I don't want it to be Bosa, especially since we've both been saying
it. It's just all
I think it's Quentin Williams will edge it out, but it's so close that it wouldn't surprise me if they go.
Well, here's what we didn't talk about. If you really feel that Quentin Williams is going to be the pick, then I do feel you can easily trade back with the Raiders. Kyler Murray, with the Raiders or Jets. I really would feel that if we want Williams, let's just say this. Let's just say we trade back with the Raiders. and then they took Bosa, then obviously Williams would probably go number 3.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just say you do hear whispers that the Jets would absolutely love Nick Bosa, and they think that whatever, like I think then you are able to probably easily trade back with the Jets possibly and get Williams right there, because I would like to think the Jets probably covet Nick Bosa more than Quentin Williams because they really need a pass rusher as well.
I'll put it to you this way. I have a feeling if in any trade, and we'll go ahead and get out of here, in any trade situation, I feel it's going to be the Jets and Raiders battling. I believe it's going to be the Jets and Raiders.
It's just kind of funny because like I feel like everyone can low key be playing kind of chicken shit, and everyone just really wants to just stay put and just go back.
Just not do nothing. Exactly. No, I totally. Wow, my bad. Did not mean to do that. Yeah, I fine. But if we trade back, it's going to be to New York or the Raiders. We're not moving past 4.
Yeah, because then I think you're kind of gambling.
You're gambling a lot. You're gambling a lot because then I'll put it to you this way: if we trade to 4, it's Devin White, because Devin White won't make it past Tampa Bay because they're clearly going to draft him to replace Quan Alexander. That's just I'm pretty sure that's a foregone conclusion. Is that they're gonna go Devin White. So if we trade,
you never know. I guess I think there's not a snowball's chance in hell, in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
But Devin White, that is. I don't think so.
Oh, but yeah, I think honestly, 3 or 4 is the only one.
The
maybe the only way I see the Giants coming in is because they have multiple picks. They have multiple, and what we're gonna do is if we trade with New York, it's gonna be 6-17 plus an additional pick.
Yeah, the trade value chart is kind of close, but once again, especially when you're taking a risk like that, you would be like, yo, I know the draft value chart was essentially created to kind of give like a common ground.
Exactly. Right. The way it was described to me is it was basically a way to start off with negotiations where nobody was going to get ripped off or you weren't going to waste people's time. Like they know that you're not going to come in 1,100 points below the value chart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to – it's a way to, prevent wasting time.
Right. And to bring up one last little point, you can't trade back with the Giants because at number 6, what happens if you're like, all right, let's just say we really want Brian Burns. That's something like I'm very intrigued with. If we don't get Bosa, he's like my second guy. And shout out to Josh Allen. I don't want to mean to like crap on him. Like Josh Allen could end up being the best pass rusher in this draft. You really do not know that. But my point about that is like, let's say you're all in Brian Burns, that pick number 6, assuming he's there. The Bucs at number 5 could possibly trade back. I know everybody's pinpointing them. And then what happens if a team knows that the 49ers are interested in Brian Burns, somebody trades up to number 5 and swoops him up right before that? I've seen Brian Burns go in the teens. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's going to go as high as number 5 or 6, but I'm just saying like, you cannot take that gamble on somebody swooping your guy up when you're all in that one guy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think I'll put it to you this way. I'm more positive that we'll make the pick than I am whether it's Bosa or Williams, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I believe more that we'll take the pick than the gap between Bosa or Williams, because beyond moving to 2 or 3, because essentially if we move down to 4, if we move down to 4, right, and I think if we move down to, I think if the Raiders move up to 2, it's for Murray.
Well, let me right, and of course that's it's supposedly reports are they're all the way in love here. Literally speaking, people do not talk about this enough. You draft Quentin Williams, then the 49ers are absolutely forced, in my opinion, to trade up from the second round just to go edge rusher. No?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll put a scenario to you to this.
And then are you relying on that guy to be a day 1 starter on the opposite end of D Ford?
No.
I mean, it just sounds a little like it almost sounds like it doesn't really make sense as much, doesn't it?
Or to
Unless
me,
the point out is like, you know what? Oh, we can wait one more year for another pass rusher.
Well, okay, no. One more scenario. I want to throw this out. This will be the last scenario, I promise. And then I actually do have to go to the draft party, but I won't have enough time to go to Kezar. But one more thing that I want to get to you, and I want to get your opinion on real quick. How are you if let's say the Raiders trade up 2-1, okay? They take Bosa, right? Okay.
Okay.
Are you okay with trading with Arizona at 4, or let's say that they trade back to 5 or 6? Okay, let's just say that. If you are in a position where you could basically, if you're in a position where you could trade back, right? Let's say you could trade back to 4. And you could be in a position where the Jets take Bosa. Are you okay with taking Quentin Williams? If I could tell you right now, you could trade back and get Bosa or Williams.
I mean, trade back and get Bosa or Williams. See, part of me still is like, I don't want to sound like a Quentin Williams hater, but part of me still says
you're just not as high as Quentin Williams as everybody else.
The 49ers can very secretly really like Josh Allen. Honestly,
they really could.
I think, honestly speaking, if they move back with the Raiders, I really think that Josh Allen will be a guy that they really thought had the potential. He might not be as good as Nick Bosa say day one, but he's the guy they're like, all right, I bet you money. And sometimes here's my mind of thinking. If you know let's just say, it's been no secret, I think the 49ers are going back to the playoffs at worst a wild card, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's just say we're a borderline team in the majority of people's eyes, whatever. But let's just say this. If you feel like you're like a borderline playoff team, or you feel decently solid about possibly squeaking in as a wild card, or you think you can compete for it, sometimes the mind of thinking can be like, yo, if this guy's ready by like week 12 or 13 and he can give us that extra edge to actually get in the playoffs, and then he takes off running from there, meaning if you have to give somebody 2-3 months, that's okay if he's going to be available for that stretch that when you really need him. You know what I'm saying? So if they're like, hey, Josh Allen, yeah, maybe he's not going to do as much in the first half. Maybe Ronald Blair will actually start on the opposite of D4. But you're like, you know what? As the time keeps creeping on towards like week 12, 13, yada, yada, when you really got to have those wins and you're like, oh, then he's going to be ready to go. And we can pretty much take the chains off of him.
Exactly. No, I fully agree with you, bruh. I think I'll put it to you this way. Is if we're going to give 3, it's Bosa, Williams, or Allen, I believe. And so, if Arizona takes Murray, we will be in a position where we could trade back to 3 or 4, and still get one of the 3 guys.
Dude, you know what would be insane?
Now you can make your argument on who you think is actually the better one, and whether we should just stick with Bosa or whatever. But I feel pretty confident that we're going to get Bosa, Williams, or Allen.
You know what would be insane is we traded down twice.
I'll put it to you this way, if we trade back, Bosa and Williams are gone and we don't take Allen, that will tell you how much we really feel about Allen right there.
And it would probably tell you, I think, if you pass on him too and you do another little train down, then definitely Brian Burns is like the guy they're like, okay, once again, maybe he's not the best day one and needs a little work. And maybe he's like another guy, like I talked about Josh Allen, that maybe he needs a little time towards like the hopefully end of the stretch of the season where he can really take off running. You know what I mean? So, people just need time. And I always bring up Aldon Smith. I don't give a rat's ass about base. I think we're more than fine at base right now.
Yeah, I'm not worried about – why does everybody always bring up base? I'm not worried about base when we'll probably be in base for probably 5 plays.
Dude, the Rams ran 3 wide receiver sets, the highest in the league at 87%, and they're the team to beat in the NFC West. And I literally – sometimes I drive myself crazy because I feel like I'm repeating the same things. But as we all know, I don't have a crazy huge following base. But, I gotta keep putting out the information and repeat myself because like some people are just not getting it, and I feel like not everybody's on the same page about base and stuff like that. This isn't 2011 hardball years. This isn't 2007. Like base is just simply, that's not necessarily not important, but you essentially stop the team on first down and they get like 3 yards, 4 yards. Like it's almost guaranteed they're gonna pass. Like everybody runs nickel like 70% of the time plus now because teams are running 3 wide receivers and so much these days. So it's like, once again, Josh Allen sounds great as the base Sam. You know what I mean? He has a great versatility and skill set. But once again, if you don't believe in his rushing ability and nickel opposite of D Ford, you're not going to be the guy, dude. You just can't. You know what I mean? You don't draft somebody in the top 5 because you're like, wow, he's going to make our base be elite. You know, we're not trying to have a freaking elite base. You know, we're 7th best against the run with a yard per carry average, like, you know, as far as what the running backs get. I think we were tied for 7th, only allowing 4.1 yards a rush, which goes to tell you our base defense is essentially already great. And that's considering all the damn injuries we had last year.
Can't forget the injuries. Look, bro, is that everybody is the base is. I think people. I don't know, bro. It's to me. I'm not worried about base because we're fine. I'm worried. What was? I get so frustrated because I'm running out of new ways to explain this. Look, what was the biggest issue last year on the Niners defense? was pass defense and getting off the field on 3rd down.
Right.
Okay? What's going to fix that? Pass rush. Right? Like, I mean, yeah, you can fix up corners and all that, but look, I'll put it to you this way. The best way that I think of could describe it if you have if you have no pass rush, you could have Deion Sanders out there, it ain't going to matter.
Dude,
if you have Alden Smith and Charles Haley in their prime,
right?
You could have me out at quarter. It's not going to matter. So
right.
What's the easier fix? Finding some pass rushers, which we've already attacked, or going to find Deion Sanders?
That's the part about the 49ers baseball that disappoints me a little bit. It's like, dude. Yeah. We saw in the hardball years first effing thing. This shit should just stay with people that a nasty front 7 essentially. You have all these guys. I mean, do you want to go run them? Carlos Rogers, Tremaine Brock. I'm gonna break out Chris Culver. I'm sorry. Who else did you bring up?
Troy Brown.
Tremaine Brown.
Tremaine Brown. Yeah, sorry.
Is it Tremaine? No, Terrell Brown. Terrell Brown.
There you go.
4 guys right there. I mean, we can go. Parrish Cox had a decent amount of time. We probably blanking out on somebody else, and here's the thing too. I'm always feeling like I'm repeating myself. The 49ers, I believe I can pull it up right now. We were actually the 11th best in the NFL against in the pass, against like in pass yards given up a game.
Oh, really?
11th, and that's with all the injuries and a lack of consistent edge rush. So I'm like, I get it. Our freaking secondary.
I wouldn't have guessed 11.
Yeah, dude, it's not as bad as people make it sound. And honestly speaking, that's just a few people. I mean, I'm sure like everybody gets beat on occasion. You might have some few bad games, you know what I mean? But like, it doesn't really even annoy me because I don't expect everybody to know every side, every little detail and information and little stat line. And stats can be deceiving at times. I'm not gonna front about that. But really, what I'm getting at is people just run away with the narrative sometimes, and it's exhausting. You know what I mean? Like, at least do a little research, and at least, you know what, too? The most important thing, understand circumstances. If you can't understand circumstances, then I don't know what to tell you. It's like somebody showing up to work a certain morning, and you found out the dude had surgery like the night before and barely got any sleep, and he's in pain and everything. But you're like, you know what? This worker sucks.
Exactly. You know or to me, the one that drives me crazy is that Richard Sherman's still an elite corner.
Well, I hope he's going to be elite next season.
Because to me, I'm not saying Richard Sherman wasn't the best we had last year. I'm not saying that our team wasn't upgraded by Richard Sherman.
I thought he had a good to great year.
He did. For coming off an Achilles, for being, a year older, things like that. But I will tell you this, is that I know for a fact that there were times last year I saw people run away from Richard Sherman, but quarterbacks missed it because they thought to themselves, why go after Richard Sherman when I could go after Killer Witherspoon?
I mean, but at the end of the day, if you think somebody no longer has it anymore, then you're definitely going to freaking test them. And guess what? When they did effing test them, like he didn't have his like throwing against completion percentage was like literally top 5, I believe, in the league. If not like worse, top 10.
And that's why I'm saying that he's still a good corner.
Right. And he got beat a few times. I remember against the Bucks, and everybody gets with that one. And it's like, dude.
Well, everybody gets beat every now and then.
Right.
But the only play that I saw concerned me that I could pull right off my hand is and now I'll admit, because it's Tyreek Hill, so we're talking about elite Olympic, possibly one of the fastest players in the league.
The third game of the season.
But if Patrick Mahomes throws that ball better, I think you probably know the play I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If he throws that ball better, that's a touchdown. And that's the only one. Now, of course, circumstance, third week of the year, hell, he probably really wasn't really right. And let's put it this way. Let's be realistic. And that's why I'll say that I shouldn't say that he's not really corner anymore. I should say let's wait and see, because I don't think he was right at any point last year.
No, and we've got to remember how much time he missed during the offseason, or they did load management. That's a new term they like to use in basketball. Yeah. Literally speaking, that's what was happening, and that's a smart thing to do. Like, I know a little about health, fitness, and how the human body and how to go about things, especially recovering from an injury and stuff like that. You want to put a little load at a time. That's just common sense. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go out there. And I think part of me was like, especially I brought up the third game, because sometimes you're going to be a little hesitant to go full balls to the wall and put all that load on your Achilles, for example, worried like, hey, if I do so, shit, is this going to possibly go ahead and like rip up on me again? Like, all that shit is in your head. So I think all that shit is gone. All the calf little issues and stuff like that he had to work through are going to be kind of gone. And I'm hoping to really see, and I think there's a decent chance, I think you might hopefully get to see 90-95% of old elite top 3 corner Richard Sherman.
I think 90%. I think
90 is doable.
Yeah. I'll probably, if you can give me 85.
88, yeah, baby. I'm just kidding.
If you can give me 85% of Richard Sherman and Verrett comes back, healthy and can stay healthy, and you have a Kilo and, more and all that, I'll take that as our secondary. I'll take 85% of what Richard Sherman used to be with a healthy Verrett. I'll take that all day and twice on Sundays. If you give me 85% of Richard Sherman and a healthy Jason Verrett with a Kilo and everybody for depth, I'll take it.
Feeling
all right,
good,
bro. Well, the bus is coming. I think that we're gonna go ahead and call it a wrap for this episode, and we'll see everybody Sunday.
All right, guys. May the force be with us. God bless everybody, and
God bless.
Go 49ers. Take care.
49ers.
Have fun.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.